Hey y'all, this is the first video on this topic where our focus is really Revelation chapter 12 verse 11, where it says they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. Revelation is, like every book of the Bible, worth a million videos and books about exploring and understanding, but just wanted to kind of hone in for this first video on the grounding scripture for this and all the videos that will come. And really, I believe that sharing our testimonies and proclaiming the power of the blood of Jesus is our victory over the enemy. That being said, the context on like a wider scale is Revelations 12:11. That will always be the context. And then the context or subcontext of this specific video is hearing God, which I know is a very popularized term, and it's frequently paired with discernment. Discernment is a spiritual gift that's listed in 1 Corinthians. And so I want to talk a little bit about that in context today. And I think we have to be very careful in the church when we, as disciples, when we say that we have heard from God, just because it is the God of creation, and that's a very powerful and stark claim that we will be held accountable to if we are wrong about that, if we're dishonest about that. And of course, God is gracious and loving and forgiving, and he knows our intentions and he knows our motivations. So I'm not trying to invoke fear in anybody in a negative sense, but I am trying to affirm a fear of God in the positive sense of reverencing the gravity of what we are saying when we say that we have heard from the creator of the universe, in all things God. I am specifically talking about the God of Israel. I'm specifically talking about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the Christian Bible, which is comprised of the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament gospel accounts and epistles or letters from the apostles. With all that being said, let's jump into it. And so I'm going to be sharing a testimony of mine just to build your faith as a disciple in discerning when you have heard from God. This is a testimony that I love because it's such an example of the specificity and detailed nature of our God. He's not a God who is detached and removed and unconcerned with our little details. No, we have a creator who is obsessed with all of the minute, intricate details of every fiber of our beings and every part of our lives. As a child, I'm gonna take it all the way back. As a child, I would be what psychologists would call a difficult baby. I was just very particular. As a child, I would be very uncomfortable in a lot of situations because I wouldn't be able to eat. I know this may sound silly, but I wouldn't be able to eat a lot of things that were provided for me to eat. One example is like milk. I never drank milk. I would get very, very sick frequently. I would have headaches, I would have bone aches, I would have stomach aches. I actually got my appendix removed when I was in 8th grade. I do think it's connected to this. And yeah, like my appendix became inflamed. I was just like not a sickly child. I was not like in the hospital, thank God. I wasn't in and out of doctor's office and hospitals, but I would just have like frequent upset stomach pains. And so specifically in 5th grade, I had a teacher who speculated that I had an eating disorder. She speculated that I was either anorexic or bulimic, and she thought that that's why I wasn't eating. My friends like collaborated with my teacher to express this concern about me not eating. And so this one day that I will never forget it, there was spaghetti and meatballs, or spaghetti and meat sauce, that they were serving for lunch, and my teacher put the plate in front of me and she held the line. My entire class was standing there. I told her I didn't like it. It made me sick. I didn't want it. but she was like, you know, we're not leaving. I'm not moving the class from the cafeteria back to the classroom until you eat this food. And that was like, you know, an extremely traumatizing experience. So let's flash forward now to my freshman year of college. In January of my freshman year, and let me be clear, I'm following Jesus, but my life is definitely not sanctified and holy. So just to let you know that even if you still are not fully yet where God has called you to be, you're not too far for him to reach you and grab you and put you on the right track. Like, you're in his hand. I decided to do a 3-day fast. And in this 3-day fast, I was like, I'm gonna do a Daniel fast. I'm just gonna eat vegetables. I'm not gonna eat, you know, like any meat or anything. Because at that point I was eating anything, like dairy, meat, like there was nothing I didn't eat. On the 4th day, when I was going to break my fast and I tried to eat breakfast in the cafeteria of my college, what I had ate was like a sausage, like a sausage patty. And so I was like, that's so crazy. And so as I reflected on it, I said, okay, maybe I just need to stop eating red meat. Maybe that's what's come out of this fast, you know, it's like a revelation that I need to stop eating red meat. So from that day forward, I stopped eating any type of pork, any type of beef. That continues for a little while. And then I will never forget, I was working at Panera Bread. I had been working at Panera Bread since I was a sophomore in high school. I was eating a chicken sandwich from Panera Bread. Lunch as normal, chicken sandwich, same as always. Sat in my car to eat it, same as always. But this one day I took this bite and I was like, I immediately lost the taste for it. Like, I could not stomach eating the rest of the sandwich. It was just like, no, you can't eat this anymore. On that day, in my junior year, that's when I stopped eating chicken and turkey. But at that point, I was still eating seafood. I was considering myself a pescatarian. Okay, so that is around 2016. Okay, so now flash forward to October 2024. And so much has happened between 2016 and 2024. By this time, I'm living in DC. That's a story for another video. I am at this point still pescatarian. I am fully following Jesus. I'm a disciple. And out of nowhere, one day, I wasn't on social media, I wasn't watching TV, I wasn't reading a book. There's no repressed memory or unconscious thoughts. Like, no association whatsoever had taken place, and it just popped into my being. Like, the 3 words popped into my being, which I believe are revealed by the Holy Spirit, and those 3 words are blood type diet. Blood type diet. Sometimes when I feel promptings in my spirit, I know exactly what it means and what to do, and like, it's clear. Sometimes I have to wait, pray, etc., etc. This moment, I know exactly what to do. And you're thinking, you say you never heard of this before. How is it that you knew exactly what to do? I just knew what to do. When I heard the words, when I sensed, I should say, the words blood type diet, I immediately knew I need to go to the doctor and I need to get my blood type figured out. When the insurance companies and doctor's office open, like on the next business day, I'm gonna call them because I be forgetting stuff. So I had to put a reminder in my phone. So then I go to work the next day, and there's this girl who she's a mental health counselor, and she worked where I was working. She would like sit in my office and just do work in there because we would like chat or whatever. Sits down, I kid you not, I cannot make this up. She sits down and she says, you know what I've been doing lately? And I say, no, what? And she said, I've been following a blood type diet. Now, mind you, before 72 hours before this, I had never had any inkling of this whatsoever. And so I'm like, I'm just staring at her. And so I pull out my phone and I go to my reminders and I show her, I'm like, look at this reminder in my phone. And it's a reminder that says like, call the doctor to schedule the appointment to find out your blood type diet. Well, for me, that was confirmation, my second confirmation that that's what I was supposed to do, because the doctors were like very cautious and skeptical of me wanting this test. They were like, why do you want to know your blood type? Like, you need to call your insurance to confirm that this is covered. Like, this is not a normal thing for people to just ask to come in and do. Like I'm not asking for anything. I'm not asking for you all to give me any medicine or any prescriptions or to use any special equipment. Like, I just want you to draw my blood, run the tests, and tell me what my blood type is. Oh yeah, for me, I took that as confirmation of like, okay, yeah, the enemy's trying to create a little tension around this to maybe intimidate me or make me hesitant to do this test. I'm sure they have their protocols or their systems and norms that they have to follow, but I'm like, I have to do this. And then they email me like a week later and they give me the results, and then it tells me that my blood type is A. At that point, it's like about to be 10 years since I started my like this revelation journey of eliminating things from my diet that, you know, my body seemed to be rejecting, or just my intuition was telling me like, your body's rejecting this. Then I go back and look at it, and literally everything that I had stopped eating was on that list. Like, and then more things that I had still been eating that I needed to stop eating. And I had even, like a year prior to that, I had gone to like an acupuncturist because I was having really horrible menstrual cycles and really debilitating menstrual cramps. So yeah, so once I found out my blood type diet was a A, I went hard on it. Like, I started eliminating dairy, eliminating as much as I could, which was really hard. Processed gluten, because gluten is in so many things, of course. Eliminating a lot of the shellfish. And from that point forward, it's like my life completely changed in regards to like my diet and my body, like my energy levels, how it would feel, my bowel movements. Before I started the blood type diet, I was having like a bowel movement every other day, or even every 3 days. And you know, if you Google it, it will say like, that's normal. It's normal to go every other day. My skin got clear. I used to have horrible skin, like dark spots, like pus, like acne. Like, my skin used to be extremely inflamed. I do be making mistakes. I'm not perfect, but my skin completely changed. I also started using aloe on my skin, which has helped a ton. What you put in your body is going to impact your skin way more than anything on the outside. My menstrual cycle, like, I still have menstrual cramps and it's still very painful, but I have seen like dramatic improvements. I used to be to the point where it was like I wouldn't be able to drive, I would be sweating, I would have diarrhea, I've thrown up before, but now I can just take like over-the-counter Aleve and it's getting better, and I'm still working on it. But finding that blood type diet has changed my life, and I would recommend it to anybody. Anytime somebody tells me that they're struggling with any health issues, anytime somebody tells me that they're, you know, trying to lose weight or trying to get into better shape, to kind of draw the connections as to like why I shared the backstory in the beginning, is like, this is the way God made me. And it took 29 years of my life for me to get to that point of relationship with him, for him to drop that into my spirit. The whole time he had been trying to prompt me and nudge me in that direction, but it's like, from my youngest memories, I remember not feeling right when I would eat the same foods that I'm not supposed to eat. Meat, dairy, shellfish primarily. Like, as I got older and like consumed more of these things, it just became normalized and routine, and I would just get to the point where I would just have my certain meals. I built up a tolerance to these things that were poisoning me and killing me. Everyone in your household could have different blood types. Everyone could have different reactions, you know, bodily to the same food. such a testimony to the glory and the goodness and the wisdom of God. And the blood type diet is like highly refuted. You know, like if you Google it, it will tell you like there's no scientific evidence, like it's a lie, like. And people say the same thing about Jesus. People say that it's a lie. People say that Christianity is not true, yada yada yada. But Revelations 12:11, I overcome by the blood of my Messiah, Jesus, the Messiah, and the word, the logos, the sermon, the proclamation of my witness. Okay? My witness, my testimony is this. Not only did Jesus save me, but he cared enough about my thriving. He said that he came that we would have life, and life to the full, life abundantly. So he cared enough about the abundance and the quality of my life that he would reveal like a whole new way of life overnight, and just said, you know what, it's time for you to heal your diet. Now let me be clear. Jesus does say, God does say, it is not what goes into a man that defiles him, but what comes out of a man's heart that defiles him. So what I'm not saying is any type of Levitical bondage. I'm not saying that any food is unclean or unholy or anything like that. Please don't hear that. That's not what I'm saying at all. Jesus says that to Peter as well when he's praying on the rooftop in Joppa, that, you know, what I've called clean, don't call unclean, using food as a metaphor for humans, Jews versus Gentiles. It says that in the Bible, that your blood is your life. And so God cares a lot about our blood. I'm not saying that anything that I can't eat for my blood type diet is unclean or unholy or anything like that. And I also am not into oppressive, like bonding, rule following. And so like I said, I do slip up with my blood type diet all the time, and I know that God's grace and mercy can sustain me and can make anything nourish my body. But I'm not going to, but I'm also going to use wisdom, and I'm also going to use knowledge. And I believe that God created science and God created doctors, and all knowledge and wisdom comes from him. Some people make food that isn't nourishing to the body, and it contains ingredients that are chemicals and that aren't actually food at all. And so I do pay attention to what I buy. I pay attention to what I cook. I pay attention to restaurants I go to. I think a lot of times in our faith, we separate the spiritual from the natural. We make it seem like our bodies and our health and what we do with our hair and what we do with our skin and what we wear, we make it seem like it's disconnected sometimes from our faith. And again, not in a rule following way, but just in a way of like wisdom and love. And he wants you to do what's going to lead to life. He's the author of life. He created life. All life comes from him and goes back to him. And so it would be really a disservice and an insult for us to do things without seeking his wisdom and knowledge, because he created us and he knows us more than anybody else, and knows like the inner workings of society and science and bodies and minds more than anybody else. And so I would just encourage you with Proverbs 3:5, where it says, in all your ways acknowledge him, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. Your spirit and your soul are not disconnected from your body. God gave you your body for a reason. He created it. He loved it. He loves it. When we are a new creation, we're going to have redeemed, resurrected bodies. When Jesus rose from the dead, he was eating and drinking, and he had scars on his hands and feet from where he was crucified. So he was in a body. And so whatever that body will be transformed into, we don't yet know, but we know that it will be a body. So you believe you're hearing from God, to test it with the word, to pray and seek for confirmation. God is so kind and gracious. He knows that we're humans and we cannot tell and see the future, and we are sometimes given to fear, unfortunately, and we just want to know that we're doing the right thing and that we're really hearing from him. More important than anything is that when he makes your path straight, it's not a path that you walk through alone. It's like Psalms 23. He is with you on that path, guiding you and shepherding you with his staff, and protecting you under his wings. And I've seen, again, the fruit of that change in my life, and it's led to abundant life. So I just want to encourage you again to submit everything to God. Nothing is too small for him. Trust in him, participate with him, do your part to stand on his word, because he loves to work with us and through us, and to partner with us, even though he does 99% of it. But the part that we do is significant and crucial to him. Be blessed.